checking in, man. Respect my region. We're back. We're not back, but Ian's back. We're here actually today on the very first episode of our newest podcast, exclusively available on the RMR Podcast Network. I've got a special guest today. He's not a guest. He's always a guest, but he's in this particular series. He's a co-host. We've got Ian Rassman, president of a soon-to-be named payment processing company. It's his own company, and we're very excited to launch this show. Ian, good day to you, sir.
How you doing, Joey? Great to hang with you again.
Dude, we're staying dry here in Tarzana. It's not raining at this exact moment. How are you? I see you at the home, so I forget the name of the city you live in.
Marina Del Rey.
That's right. So yeah, dude, Ian, it's great. I'm really excited and happy to do this show with you. It's called the Cannabis Business Podcast. This is what we landed on for our name because your background is all about helping. Well, it's not all about it, but for the last few years, it's been all about helping cannabis businesses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
So your background, I remember when I first met you, and you're the executive director of LA Normal. You're the president of your own company. I remember when I first met you that you said something along the lines of you've been in payment processing for like 20 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, a long time.
Can you walk me through and so that people can understand like your background with cannabis and like that business side of things? I feel like it's super important for people to understand like what your background is in this whole Cannabis Business Podcast.
Sure. I've been doing financial services, payments, and working in the banking sector for about 15 years. And let's see, maybe about 10 years ago, I found my very, very first cannabis retailer, a merchant in the San Fernando Valley, up by you. And I got them launched for payment processing. Now, this was 10 years ago. Things were, if you think today is the Wild West, there was no West 10 years ago, right? Like there was no industry per se. So you could just sign up a cannabis merchant for, just like I was signing up Subway sandwiches or Starbucks or something like that for payment processing. There was nobody taking a look at anything. You just sign people up and just, oh, what are you selling? Oh, we're selling flowers. Okay, great. So, and you'd sign them up. And, that was my first foray with a cannabis merchant. That was 10 years ago. Things have substantially changed since I launched that first customer. I would say that maybe about 8 years ago, I got into the cannabis industry full time for payments and really started spending all of my time in the industry, looking for new payments, new payment partners, new merchants. And things had really changed quite a lot in just the 2 years since I'd launched that first customer. There's a lot more attention. The industry was developing. California had just gone adult use, and there was a real tidal wave coming in of an industry appearing in California. And so I went full time into cannabis and started seeking out more merchants to sign up. I figured out very quickly that the payments industry had also changed with respect to cannabis, and there was no signing people up now for selling flowers when they were selling the other flowers. So you had to sign people up with, real legit payment solutions, which were not extensively available. So really that's what I started focusing on about 8 years ago, focusing in on payments mostly as they exist today. Actually, they haven't changed a lot in the 8 years. Really mostly still the same solutions available. Some new solutions come and go on a regular basis. And some solutions have stayed tried and true over those 8+ years that I've been watching them.
Walk us through what those classic payment processing solutions are for a cannabis retailer, specifically a dispensary.
So there are not many options today for compliant, legit processing where you're really not going to get in trouble with anybody today. And I would say mostly when we're talking about THC in-person sales, really your best solution today is a point of banking system, also known as a cashless ATM. These are little terminals. In fact, I have one right here. These are little terminals like this. It's not all that much bigger than a cell phone. You got a roll of paper in here for receipts. And this is a cashless ATM terminal. So what this is a customer comes up to this machine. The bud tender enters in the amount that they are going to charge the customer. The customer taps or inserts their card into the machine. An ATM card, by the way, this is not. This machine is restricted to not process Visa and MasterCard transactions. It only runs on the ATM rails. This is really
so I want to focus on that real quick. That's a very important detail, right?
It is. It is.
And
absolutely.
Can you expand on what the full gravity of what that even means? So those are major credit card companies.
Yeah. So, major credit card companies have, or the card brands, as they're called collectively, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, these are the card brands. They've all come out with very explicit policies to say that thou shalt not transact cannabis on our network. Every one of them. And they try to hold that line. There are constantly solutions that are coming into the market where technology companies, payment companies, many other kinds of companies have found great little workarounds. I'll use the air quotes, great little workarounds to be able to accept Visa and MasterCard at dispensaries on their platforms. Now, don't forget, this is explicitly against Visa and MasterCard rules. However, people are still doing it. So these companies will come out and they will basically set up, maybe you put your card in the machine and then the machine converts it to blockchain or to crypto and it sends it off to the Cayman Islands or the Azores or something like this. And then your money comes back to you, comes back to the store in crypto format or in a wallet, and then you pull your funds out. There are a multitude of solutions that have come and gone over the last 8 years that I've seen for exactly these types of solutions, where somebody figures out a way to be able to accept traditional credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, American Express. That solution stays up and running for a little while until such time that it gets so big and so popular that catches the attention of Visa, MasterCard, and they're like, hey, what's going on over there? Oh, no. And they put the big kibosh on it, and they seek out that solution and they shut it down. So it's basically been fairly routine that if you are processing cannabis transactions, THC, with Visa and MasterCard, regardless of what the solution is or who's providing it, eventually it's going to catch the attention of Visa and MasterCard, and it's going to shut down. And like literally your payments will just get shut off one day. The terminal will stop working. You'll start getting error messages. It's been disconnected. So that happens kind of routinely. And it's calamitous when your dispensary up and running on a Tuesday, all of a sudden on Wednesday, you're like, no more card payments, cash only. I mean, it really throws these people into turmoil. And customers are not happy. I think everybody wants to buy their cannabis the same way that we buy our Starbucks coffee. Just go in and pay for it, and that's it.
Right.
But we're just not there yet.
I buy weed on card all the time. I prefer that. I don't mind paying the fee. I don't try to carry cash all that often. And so I'm one of the people that, like, I can't wait for it to become federally safe for us, because on the consumer side, we're risking our stuff as well doing that. And so can you talk a little bit about, obviously it's like the compounding impacts of what it's like for a retailer that has their situation go down. I mean, I know that there's a lot of cannabis retailers out there that can relate to having this happen to them. What is that real life situation like? What does it look like? So it goes down, it's just shut off. What are some of the compounding issues that kind of stack on top once that happens?
Well, very quickly, as soon as your payments get shut off, you're a cash only operation. So that means that you're going to be relying on the cash that's in your ATM machine. Hopefully, that thing's well stocked up and ready to go for this. Um, and then your cash in the store. So this means also that the volume of cash coming into your business starts dramatically increasing. Where maybe today you took X amount of dollars in cash because you were also taking card payments. And then tomorrow, all of a sudden, it's all cash. So now your cash on hand goes way up. Your risk of theft, robbery, all these things that come with excessive amounts of cash start increasing in probability.
So it's like more of the, we'll call it like the weaker points of the brand experience, and also too internally with theft, like that all becomes much more exacerbated if it was happening before, and then now it's happening at scale and much more drastically.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm looking at the comments here. Thank you, Russell. You're exactly right. More cash means more costs. That's exactly right. It's expensive to handle cash. Everybody has this grand idea of like, oh, I'm going to get in the cannabis industry and I'll have duffel bags of cash. But like, talk to anybody that's had a duffel bag of cash and they're like, oh, what do I do with this? Like, how do I get it into my bank? How do I use this cash to pay my employees and to pay my vendors and to buy some more product? Cash is just really not always the easiest thing to deal with.
I find that to be super powerful in terms of that, right? Like some people just thrive and live on that, and then digital is where I'm at and where most of the world's at today, right? In terms of
I'm
just
with you.
digital payment.
I have no cash in my wallet. You just roll, fold up a couple of 20s and they're already thicker than a single credit card. Like, I'm into the thin wallet. I don't need to sit on thick wallet carrying lots of stuff. I got driver's license, minimal number of credit cards, an ATM card, and that's all I have in my wallet. Health insurance card, that kind of thing. But I just don't carry cash.
Yeah.
And I think that during the pandemic, we all got used to that. And you see it very commonly today where many businesses straight up tell you, we don't take cash anymore. I took my kids to Magic Mountain over the weekend. Magic Mountain doesn't take cash
Yeah, it's
anymore.
cashless. Yeah, I think Universal's cashless too.
Many of the amusement parks are going cashless. In fact, there's even a reverse trend. How about this one? Have you seen these machines? So you know what an ATM machine is, right? You put your ATM card in, you get $20 bills back. They now have machines at these amusement parks where you put your $20 bills in and it spits out a debit card for you. And that debit card, maybe you loaded $80 onto that debit
Yeah,
card.
it's the fun card.
Yeah, now you can walk around the park accessing that $80 that you loaded in the morning. So more and more businesses are going away from cash. Cash logistics are expensive. And I think everybody lost interest in touching cash during the pandemic. We all had this concept of just cash going everywhere.
Right.
And look at any of the money in your wallet. It's kind of dirty and frazzled. And, I don't know. I'm with you. It's all plastic. For me, I get my air miles. I get nice statements. I can track my spending in QuickBooks. I know exactly what's going on. Anytime I use cash, it's not trackable. It's gone.
Yeah. That classic stereotype of, if you got it, it's burning a hole in my pocket, right?
Yeah,
You got cash.
yeah, for sure. So
Good thing for the weed industry, though, but bad thing in terms of being able to take more money from them. So that leads me to my next point. I love data. The data shows that digital payments increases not only basket size, but also like the quantity of items in that basket size, as well as the overall, just like the number, right, attached to it.
Yep.
Can you talk about that and
Yeah.
expand on that part of it?
You and I not being people that carry cash, like how many times have you had this experience? You go into a dispensary and you're like, okay, you just stop because you're there and you haven't been to this dispensary before. You go in and you're like, all right, I hope they're going to take some card payments. And you go in and you start picking out your items and you get maybe 3-4 items and you're up to whatever dollar value that is. And you go up to pay.
127 because it's $7 more than 120 bucks.
Yeah. So you're at $127 and you go up and you're like, and then it's cash only, and you're like, oh shit. So now you're going to go over to that ATM machine, take out that money, which is going to give me change, which I don't want change in the first place. I just don't want the physical cash. So I'm always trying to use my card. I have frequently, and I just don't carry cash. So it's unusual for me to have, anything more than an emergency $20 on me. So I'm frequently jammed up, and I have many times had to look at my 3 or 4 items and maybe put 1 or 2 of them back because that's how much cash I have on me. And how terrible is that? If you're a retailer, you got a customer like me, pops down 4 items on the register, and then they give you the total, and you're like, oh, how much is it if I take that one off? And like slowly your basket size starts going down as we try to figure out what Ian can afford with the cash that he has on him. And that's terrible because I was there to buy 4 items and now I'm walking out the door with 2. That's a fail, in my opinion, if you're a merchant. 100%. Why were you not able to sell me the things that I wanted? It's total fail.
No, 100%.
It's frustrating for me because I'm like, I make a mental note. I'm like, all right, I'll try someplace else next time, and maybe I'll be able to get everything that I wanted. And
Absolutely.
Retailers like Walmart, Kmart, Target, these people all understand the buying mentality, which is they want people to come into their store, they want you to look around, they want you to get excited about the different products that are available, and they want you to do emotional shopping. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like emotional shopping is, I would love that. That looks really good. I really want this, as opposed to the mission that you may went in there. I need a 5-pack of pre-rolls. I need that for this thing tonight that I'm going to. And maybe you just went in for that. But while you're in there, you're like, oh man, that chocolate bar would be good. And, I should probably get a little bit of flour. And the stores want you to do this emotional shopping. Now, the only way you can do this emotional shopping is if you can detach from the mental calculation that's going on in your head, which many of us do as we're shopping in whatever store. You're like, okay, that's $40 for that eighth, and the 45 for that chocolate bar, so I'm at 85. I guess I'm tapped out because I got $100 cash. Got to allow some tax and this and that, and so you're done. You just kind of shop. You're like, all right, I'm done. What the store's goal should be, the retailers should be to like keep you shopping, keep you walking around the store, keep you excited, picking up more products, and then you get to the register without this mental tally running through your head because whatever the total is going to be, I know I have plastic in my wallet and I'm going to be able to pay for it, right? Like how often do you walk around Walmart mentally adding everything up and trying to figure out like, man, I hope I can pay for this when I get there. Right?
I haven't really seen people at shopping center store places like that. I've never seen them have a basket full of stuff and pull out a $500 bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Or sit there at Walmart and start putting items back. You're like, can you take that off? Like, I need to drop the price a little. I don't have that much cash on me. Then nobody does that.
Yeah, they don't have cash. They just pay with card.
But I do it all the time in dispensaries, and I get, I'm not going to change the way I am. I'm not going to start carrying cash just because I like to go into dispensaries once.
Well, no, and then there's the typical solution is to charge people, by having them take out their own money via the ATM, right? Yep. And so I know that's something else that we've talked about in the past. Can you walk, help the people that are here today, which for everybody that is here today, we appreciate you guys joining us. Again, this is episode 1 of the Cannabis Business Podcast. This is powered by Ian Rassman and also brought to you guys by RMR Legacy Smalls, our cannabis products in Washington, California, soon Arizona and New York. Ian, can you walk us through and give people a better understanding of ATMs? They're at smoke shops, they're at gas stations, they're sometimes on the side of the street in cities like San Francisco and other major cities. Where did ATMs come from? How did they get to these places? Why do they charge us for this stuff? Please help us understand what's going on with ATMs.
Great question. So I'm also in the ATM business. I also provide ATM machines for businesses, like you said, dispensaries, random street locations. I've got a couple ATM machines in Hollywood that are like literally on the sidewalk for people to use all the time. ATM machines are a must for a dispensary owner. For any retailer, you want to provide as many options as possible for your customers to pay for the things that they want. As a retailer, it is not your job to decide how people pay you. It's your job to let people pay you as much as possible and sell as much stuff as you can. That's it. Sell as much as you can and let people buy as much as they can. That's your core function, right?
Yep.
ATM machines help facilitate that for sure. I always recommend people have an ATM machine in their store, in addition to payment options like cashless ATM, because customers will do different things. Me, I would personally rather use a cashless ATM system because it's not going to lead to more cash coming back into my wallet that I don't want. If I use the physical ATM machine, I'm definitely going to have some more change going back into my wallet that I don't want. So I would, me personally, I like to use the card payments, but you should have everything. You should absolutely accept everything that you think your customers may want to use and let them use it, and they will buy more things.
Love it. I've been known to pay. I think the international ATMs are like $7.99, right, for their
Haven't
charges.
I guess you haven't tried to use an ATM machine in Vegas yet, have you? You know
It's
that
probably
might.
like what is it, 9.99?
Oh, it's like $20. I'm not even
19 now.
shitting you. I am not
Yeah,
even
that's
kidding you.
crazy.
You go hit one of those ATM machines like 10 feet away from the casino floor. You just wait and see what that service fee is. It's like $20.
That's wild. Yeah, I haven't had to deal with that. Usually I just come out with like 200-300 bucks and I just limit myself to that and don't do it from like a budget perspective. But I always know that I definitely put, I always actually try to buy weed on card, to be 100% honest,
Me
because of
too.
the fact that I can track myself,
100.
versus like with cash. Again, I can just burn it on anything, but thus
Yeah.
me having to switch my habits over the years.
Yeah.
Now, Ian, I wanted to talk a little bit about. You said that you've been doing payment processing for the last 8 years, really all in. I've been in California for 5. We've been rocking with each other for, I believe, 2 to 4 years, somewhere in there.
Longer than that. I
Um,
think since when you first showed up.
I think it was. I think it is pretty much every bit of 5 years. Um, I'm interested in learning a little bit about some of the people that you work with around the country now, because I know, I've seen you travel. You recently just spoke in Hawaii, and then you've got clients all over the country. I was plugging you in with people in New York. We've tried to do Arizona plays. Like, there's all kinds of stuff, right? And so,
Yep.
starting off with just the Hawaiian region, and obviously we're working through California and wherever else after that. But walk me through working. What it's like working with a group in Hawaii, and also talk a little bit about speaking out there at that event.
Yeah. So I was just at the Hawaii Cannabis Expo, I think 2 weeks ago, in Hawaii. And by the way, I grew up in Hawaii. I'm from there. Lived there in the 70s and 80s. And so it was really kind of amazing for me to go back to my home state, and to come in and talk about cannabis, because when I lived there in the 70s and 80s, cannabis was hugely taboo, as it really was most everywhere in America. But interestingly enough, uh, it's everywhere in Hawaii, and it was in the 70s and 80s. I mean, everything grows in Hawaii. You take your mango pit, throw it behind you, and you're going to have a tree there in a couple of years. I mean, everything grows, and cannabis just grows literally like the weed that we all know that it can grow like. So it's always been in Hawaii, even in the 70s and 80s. Like, if you went to a high school football game, you would smell weed. Absolutely, pakalolo, as it's called in Hawaii. That's what we call
Yeah,
it. So culturally, I would say that people that live in Hawaii have had cannabis around them for really quite a long time, and on a
yeah.
regular basis. It's been, even though it's been taboo, it's just existed there.
I mean, they've got a brand name strain, right? Maui Wowie,
They
right?
do.
They got that Hawaiian sticky icky, and there's a variety of other very popular items, but the most popular one by far, Maui Wowie, right?
Yep.
Um, when you were there recently, obviously you were there at that expo. Um, you know, what's it been like doing business, over time with Hawaiian retailers and people in different states, right? Because there's different rules, there's different nuances between businesses in these different states. So what is it like working with these different groups?
Every state is different in what the state allows. Maybe they allow recreational adult use, or maybe they allow only for medical, which Hawaii is a medical only state. For Hawaii, they have a pretty restrictive medical program. We have a medical program here in California, and it's not the list of qualifying conditions is fairly extensive here in California, and there are many of those conditions that are more subjective for the evaluating physician and for the patient. Things like pain or PTSD, those types of things are a little bit more difficult to prove that somebody has pain or PTSD or something like that. Hawaii's medical cannabis laws, in my opinion, are extremely restrictive. They have a limited number of products. They sell flower, concentrates, vapes, and gummies. That's it. There are no other product types. There's no pre-rolls. There's no chocolates. There's no lots of products that we're familiar with here in California. Mm-hmm. Also, the qualifying conditions in Hawaii are pretty restrictive. So a couple of years ago, Hawaii opened up their program for tourists. So if you're from California and you have a medical card in California, you can apply in advance in Hawaii, which I tried to do when I was going. I was like, oh, great. I'm going to take my California medical card and try and apply for the, permission to use it in Hawaii. Makes sense. And they charge you $100 to do it all in advance. So whatever. I started reading the list of conditions, which was not too many. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to qualify here. And basically the restrictions in Hawaii, you have to be almost dead. I'm really ashamed to say that you have to have very significant medical conditions to be able to qualify for medical cannabis in Hawaii. You have to have cancer. You have to have literally so many things that are, demonstrate that your life is really hampered and in a bad place, and you need cannabis just to kind of reach the plateau that the rest of us have every day. So I didn't qualify for anything in Hawaii. So when I went there, I had no ability to go into a dispensary and purchase anything. So Hawaii maybe has a chance this year to push for adult use. I think that would be pretty amazing for the state. As you know, as I'm sure you're aware, tourists are the number one source of income for pretty much everything in Hawaii. So to allow these tourists to access cannabis while they're there will have a significant impact, I believe, on the industry in Hawaii, which is not very big, by the way. There's only 8 licenses in the state. There are 8 counties in the state of Hawaii. Each island is its own county. The big island where I'm from is actually called the County of Hawaii. Honolulu, which is the big famous city that everybody knows, is on the island of Oahu and in the county of Oahu. So the way that Hawaii approached the licensing is that they gave everybody vertical licenses. So you're doing everything there. You're growing it from seed to sale. And absolutely every step along the way. That's what the licenses do there in Hawaii.
That's really interesting to hear as well. And big shout out to Hawaii, and the people there. And, also too, my deepest condolences for the horrific, what happened there, right?
Yeah, Maui was tragic. I mean, if you've ever been there, that place was really special. It's hard to imagine that a lot of that's gone. I guess there's it sounds like there's hope that big beautiful banyan tree that was there in Lahaina is going to survive. It sounds like that it will. And that was, from going there as a kid, that's what I remember the most. That big banyan tree in Lahaina was just cool. I used to play around under that thing all the time. So
absolutely.
That's going to survive, and people are rebuilding. But it is tragic. I mean, that whole part of the island just got wiped out, and that was the place where all the tourists would go. That was their source of income.
So obviously, like you said, there's different nuances from state to state when it comes to, running the cannabis businesses, whether it's the payment processing or following the different rules for even marketing, right? Something that I'm familiar with. And also to just the different ways and structures that the various industries have it set up, right? So for everybody watching, we are going to be talking cannabis business on this podcast. We wanted to start this first episode off by letting you guys get to know Ian. This is our series, so I'm hoping that you guys just know my background. But I'm a Central Washington University graduate, been running Respect My Region alongside Mitch for the last 13 years. We've worked with well over 50 to 100 businesses, whether it's artists or small businesses or actual brands in multi-state situations, lots of festivals. We've done a lot of campaigns and work specifically in the world of music and cannabis business. And so we're excited to bring you guys education. We're excited to talk about news articles, share videos with you guys, and really, sometimes freestyle, sometimes plan out big presentations or some kind of something for you guys. We're really going to just take this one month at a time. We will also bring guests on. So for those of you that are interested in, bringing news or breaking a story or something, please reach out directly to info@respectmyregion.com if you'd like to get a hold of me. And Ian, what's your email?
Ian@rassman.com, IAN at RASSMAN.com. Go check out my website. A lot of good information there about payments and events too.
Rassman.com for his website. Be sure to tap in. He's got a great event calendar for people across the country. We want to showcase different regions. We want to make sure we're highlighting different brands and just, helping people, get their business moving in a better direction. And so this is a platform for marketing. This is a platform for educating. This is a platform for relationship building. We encourage all of you guys in the comments, all of you watching, to engage, build community, and try to network and connect something out of this. Ian and I are coming together specifically to do something that we feel is right for the industry. It goes beyond getting our self-exposure. It goes beyond getting our self-clients. It fully extends our roots and our desire to help people. He's the executive director of Los Angeles Normal. So people that are in Southern California, please feel free to reach out. We do host meetups, not as regularly as we used to, but we do and are willing to do them more often and again when time comes. So please reach out. Ian, episode 1, Cannabis Business Podcast. You ready?
Yeah, let's go, brother.
Let's get it. Everybody, make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, tap in, talk that shit. But no matter what, we're coming at you guys with more episodes. Please hang out with us. We're going to episode 100, baby. Let's go.
LFG, bro.
Let's go. We'll see you all on another side. Okay. Until next time.